Welcome to the Monopoly Mindset, the podcast where we uncover the strategies to build your real estate portfolio one property at a time.
We're your hosts, Tyler and Tommy, here to share our story of playing real-life Monopoly.
Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, this is your go-to resource for mastering the real estate game.
So grab your board, roll the dice, and let's buy Boardwalk together.
Welcome back to the Monopoly Mindset, episode 34. Going to do a pass and go segment. It's been a couple weeks since we've done that. Ty's got some updates on his rental portfolio that he's excited to talk about. I don't have as much. I just got back from Greece, so my real estate portfolio, real estate life was relatively quiet, which is a good thing when you take a vacation to get to truly unwind and relax. But why don't you get started, Ty, and tell us some of the things that are going on for you?
So first we just got back from the Poconos yesterday. We went up there for our 4-year anniversary and
Happy anniversary.
thanks, yeah. Seems like I don't know, it seems like yesterday and then you're like 4 years, holy crap. And I think you were kind of there for your 5-year anniversary. Yeah, it was like the first time that we really got to like enjoy the Poconos since we bought it. We've been up there a lot, but we were putting together furniture and kind of making things nice, and like it's still impossible to like not walk through it and like think of things to do, right? Like you want to work on stuff, but we kind of like forced ourselves to just like act as if we were not the owners. But we were actually
That's
very
great.
impressed. Yeah, we were very impressed with like the cleaning when we walked in last time we went. I mentioned there was like a stain on the rug and like just some things that we weren't too happy with. But the rug was replaced, and this was like 4 months ago. But yeah, it looked really nice. We kept like looking around for things that could be wrong, and we didn't really find anything too bad. I mean, it is like it's a weird feeling to like see things not exactly how you left it and know that there was like a bunch of people staying in your house that you don't know. But yeah, I mean, we had a really good time. So it's just cool to like, see your investment kind of be able to be used for personal use, which again, Airbnb or short-term rentals kind of like one of the few things that you actually get to use. So it was really cool. And
I think it's
obviously,
so cool. I think it's awesome that you have that place. And honestly, you weren't able to go see it as much because it's been rented out almost every weekend, which is another huge positive that the house has been rented out. So it's been kind of limiting to how much you can go use it. And to get up there and just act like a guest, and again, like it's an investment, you're making money off of that property and you also get to use it a little bit. Reminds me a lot of like what Anthony said of like wanting to own Airbnbs up and down the coast and just having a place you can go there and create memories at. And like again, it's one of the cooler ways to invest in real estate is to own a property and be an Airbnb investor. So I think it's really cool.
yeah, so I completely lost my train of thought, but
You're all
yeah.
good. You're thinking
So
about
we
your four-year anniversary and how awesome it was to relax up in the Poconos for a weekend and just truly unwind and unplug, which it's a great spot. So if you haven't checked out Ty's place up in the Poconos, you guys should just book a weekend up there. It's really nice. It's got a hot tub, and especially now in the fall season, and even as it gets cold up there, just completely unwind for a weekend and lose your train of thought. So highly recommend checking
I
out
was gonna
Ty's
say, yeah.
Airbnb.
So we since we listed it in like March, we haven't had a single weekend open. So yeah, I mean like when we use it, we have to book it like a month out. And then obviously there's like this give and take of like, I want it to produce money, and every weekend that you use it, you're losing money. And then you have to pay like to get it cleaned, but again, it's a give and take. So like I'm kind of looking at it where like at the end of the year, when I calculate like my total cash flow per month, it's like, yeah, but I used it 4 times, so that I purposely am giving up like another $100 or $200 a month or whatever, which is fine, right? Like It's there for us to use and enjoy, and it's kind of yeah, it's I
Plus,
like
if
it.
you
And I
look at
definitely
it
want
from
to buy
a
another one.
if you look at it from a perspective of what you would have paid that weekend to go away, even if you just went to the Poconos or anywhere else, I'm sure you would have spent $500 or $600 for a 3 day weekend. Plus, like to be able to bring the dogs, you might not have been able to do that at some places you would have gone to. So, factoring in everything, you probably saved a little bit of money, and then just the nostalgia factor of like, hey, this is your house, and it felt great to be there. And obviously, you see some changes that are a little bit quirky, right? Like, I didn't move that cup, or why is that
Yeah.
cup not there, completely gone? But yeah, I'm with you. I think Airbnb is super cool. I heard you tail there and say that you want to get into another one. It's still something that I want to do. I haven't, invested in Airbnb at all. I love how I mean, again, you hear so many horror stories from people that are Airbnb investors, and they say like how much work it is, how awful it can be, how overwhelming. Even Jonathan talked about how overwhelming it could be, and that was a lot of like him self managing. Then when people such as yourself that seem to have a management company handle 95% of it, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to be relatively hands off compared to some of your other properties because everything's handled by a company. So what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean that was my advice to Jonathan. Like I recommend management if it's far, because yeah, it's very pretty low stress depending on your management company. Now we are learning that there's massive tax benefits to managing it yourself. So I actually am looking into that route. That's something that I might consider doing. But yeah,
Sidebar, just real quick, we should have Mike Marchman on the pod here in the near future because he has Airbnb in Kissimmee, right up the street from me, and he's self-managing it from North Carolina slash Texas, wherever he's actually living at. So I'd love to have him on the pod and get his perspective of like how hard is it to do from a
yeah, I'm
remote.
actually reaching out to his CPA this week. He sent me his contact information. He reached out and told me that he was pretty good and he was able to use the STR loopholes. So we could do a whole well we want to do a whole episode just on that alone because that is like it could be massive. Basically, you can write off some of your like W-2 job income if you manage an Airbnb. That's all I'll say for now because it's confusing and there's a lot of things, but it can be really powerful. But yeah, I definitely want to buy another one. Honestly, I probably want to buy my next one with you, and maybe go a little bit bigger. We were kind of thinking maybe like closer to a beach town area, which obviously they're much more expensive, but yeah, I think that would be a cool vacation spot to have, since we want to go to the beach, well, like once a year anyway. But
I think that'd be awesome. It's a dream of mine is to get an Airbnb closer to the beach. I love going to the beach, and so to have a house, to your point, that's rented out most of the time, but once or twice a year I could go versus paying whatever I'm going to pay to go to the beach. I think it would be an ideal situation. And as we've taken our last couple family vacations and we've tried doing hiking and other things, we kind of realized to get everybody on board is a lot tougher versus if we can just take a family beach trip, you can go to the beach when you want, you can eat food when you want, it becomes a lot more relaxing. And so I think to have a family beach house that you can kind of go to, make some money on it, and have it as a vacation house as well is a huge goal of mine.
yeah, so the bulk of my last 2 weeks has been finishing like the repairs on my old primary and getting that listed. I listed it about a week ago, and now I've showed the property twice. I'm vetting people, so finishing up the renovation portion. I definitely I got to a point where I was like, this is just taking me way too long. So I reached out to my handyman again and I just gave him like another list of stuff to do. And it was like paint a bedroom. Because I like I patched some like nail holes in the wall and then like spackled it and painted it, but the paint wasn't the exact same, so it showed up like pretty obvious on like three out of the four walls. And I was like, I have to paint this whole room because I couldn't like color match the exact paint. And I was just like, I'm not doing it. Like I've painted so much in my current house that I was just like, I'm not painting another room. I just can't do it. So
Did you
I
see the
mean,
reel that Danielle or TikTok Danielle made of you, where it's like you're going to paint, and then like right when you're going to paint, you can see like this look of disgust on your face, like damn it, I really don't want to start painting. And she kind of
no, I didn't
commented
see
on
that
that,
one.
like, it's
But
really
yeah,
funny. It's like when you think that you can paint the whole house, but you actually don't want to paint the whole house.
yeah, I'm very much over painting. So I paid. I mean, it wasn't like I paid him another like $700 or $800 to just do like a few small things. Got it listed, looks really good, and listed it, I think about a week ago, last Monday. Again, through Rent Ready, I took the pictures myself. We did the whole episode last week on like using Rent Ready, so basically listed on there. They put it out to like Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, etc. They have their own like platform, but I don't know anybody that looks at rentals on Rent Ready. But Zillow is actually every single contact I've had is from Zillow, so that seems to be like the only one that people use. I
Which is
haven't.
insane because you and I go back and forth. You used to love Zillow. I think you still do. I used to
Yeah, I
like
only
Zillow,
really use Zillow.
but I hate Zillow anymore. It's like so difficult to get anything in my opinion. I've just completely gone away. I use Realtor for like everything, and whenever I end up on Zillow, I'm like, this platform is miserable now. I can't stand it. But to your
The
point,
only thing
anytime,
I
go ahead.
I like Realtor for multifamily. For some reason, I've noticed that Realtor, when you do the multifamily tab, it seems to sometimes show properties that don't show up on Zillow multifamily. I've just always kind of noticed that. But side note, Anthony just posted the Chemung Castle yesterday, and I clicked on it, the Zillow link, and their like Zillow showcase thing is it's getting like really cool. You should go look at it. You can have like an AI staging thing where there's a picture of a room without any furniture, and then you can click your style. They have like 8 styles, so it'll be like industrial, farmhouse, and it will just furnish that room. And then there's a little like a sliding bar where it'll go like no furnish to furnish. So you can see like, okay, empty, if farmhouse is your style, if industrial, like whatever. And it really does help you like visualize kind of a house with furniture or without. Like some people might prefer no staging, some people might prefer like to pick their style. I don't know. It was really cool, and that's the first time I've seen that. Um,
All right, well, maybe I'm wrong about Zillow. My frustrations come with it from like the calculator. It used to be right there on the app, and like in Realtor, it's still there on the app. And like whenever I'm looking at houses, I always just want to look at the mortgage payment. Like I can't conceptualize like, hey, this house is $400,000. I'm gonna put 20% down. Like I don't know what the mortgage payment is off the top of my head. So Ty's probably like doing the math and just knows what the payment's gonna be. But for me, I like to see it, and so Realtor shows me that, and Zillow stopped showing that for whatever reason. Like they want you to fill out an application and like,
no, I think it's
um,
still there. I think you're just not finding it. I want to go
yeah.
look.
So,
But yeah,
but
so anyway, listed it. Now obviously I used comps specifically in my neighborhood to figure out what I want to list it for. There was a 3 bed, 2 bath, and I actually the guy that moved out like 2 months ago had a yard sale, and I went to it. Just because yard sale, he was moving out. I was like, "Do you own the house?" He was like, "No, I'm renting." So I knew that this house was going on the market as a rental soon. The guy had it for 2850, and it's been almost 60 days, and he's down to 2350. Now my house has one more bedroom, but I was like, "Well, that's not a great sign." um, and then now he's at 2350 and he has like 60 contacts, which is a lot. I would assume that out of those 60, you would get a few that qualify. And then there's a 4 bed, 2 bath, which is very comparable to mine, I would say. Similar condition, same bedroom, bathroom, square footage. And that one's at 2650. And I listed at 2700. And it's been about a week and I haven't really gotten super qualified tenants yet. Um, so I'm considering dropping it in the next week or two or day or two, honestly. It's kind of like this this decision of like, do you want to keep it and same with selling, right? Like, do you want to keep it on the market at this price and hope that you get it, or but every day that goes by you're essentially losing money because you're paying like the mortgage, or do you want to drop it, get somebody in there and get better qualified tenants? I think that's kind of the big thing, that if you're not getting like a ton of contacts, or the people that are applying like don't qualify, um I think that's kind of a good sign to drop it. So we'll give it another day or two. And even at 2,500, I'm still cash flowing a pretty good amount because I bought it 4 years ago and my interest rate's 3.3. So I'll still be really happy with that. But
I think it's tough, but I like the main call out that you mentioned there, that dropping the rent might help you get more qualified tenants. And I don't think that's always discussed or really a thought process in most people. But if 2,700 is too high, you could argue drop it to 26, then drop it to 25. But getting to 2,500, maybe there's people like 2,500 is their max budget. So they're filtering, not even looking for $2,700 houses. And
right.
if you're not getting, I think we've gotten three contacts in the last couple, like 2 weeks that it's been available. And since like they
I mean,
haven't been.
it's been available 1 week and I've gotten like 6 or 7 people reach out to me, but they'll fill out like a pre-qualification because most people are just like, hey, I want to set up a showing, and I live 45 minutes away, so it's like 2 hours out of my day. So I make them like fill out the pre-qualification, which they enter their own like credit score, income, and a lot of people just straight up don't qualify from that, even though it's in the listing, right? So it's like, don't even apply. But
Yeah,
people
it's like,
do.
hey, credit score must be 600, and somebody puts, hey, credit score is 500. You're like, well, you don't qualify, but they still
Yeah.
just apply. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'm not gonna spend 2 hours to go show it to them if I know that they're not gonna qualify anyway. So, but I did want to talk about three applications that I got because kind of some interesting stuff that I've never dealt with. So the first one, um, guy reached out to me. He put his income, qualified, his credit score. Actually, he just applied. He like spent the $40 to do like the real application. Gave me his credit score, background check, and income. Everything checked out except for income. He didn't upload any proof. He just wrote, "This is how much I make." And I said, "Hey man, like everything looks good, but you need to like prove your income. Like, do you have pay stubs or whatever, bank statements?" And he was like, I'm a business owner, so I'll send you my tax return. So he sent me that. Everything looked good, but his business was residential assisted living on the house that he currently owns and lived in for the last 4 years. So I was like, okay. So he was living in this house, running a business out of his house. Now he's moving out. Is he? And this is from 2024. So it's been 10 months. I don't know what he's made for the last 10 months, but I was going to give him a shot because, like, being a real estate investor, I'm familiar with residential assisted living and I know that it can be a really lucrative business. And he was looking for a 4 bedroom house. And I was like, hey, are there going to be any other people living at the property? And he was like, no, just me. I was like, okay, that's maybe a little odd. And then like a day later, he was just like, hey, by the way, I'm planning on running a residential assisted living out of your house. And for me as the owner, it's a little bit of a liability. Like, I don't know who's going to be living there. I'm only signing a lease with him. He's like kind of subletting it out. And I don't know if he was planning on living there or just like managing it. But I basically said, I don't allow that type. Like, I don't allow people to run a business where other people are living there, but I said, like, good luck on the search. Like, I think that's a good idea. Um, but it wasn't for me. And I guess it's a situation I've never run into. Maybe that means that the rent is more guaranteed if he's charging like 6 or 8 thousand a month and his rent's 2,700. Like, maybe it would have all worked out. But from my perspective, it's kind of a liability. Like, this is like a legitimate assisted living. You need permits and like all this, and nurses and like all this stuff that I don't know about. So I basically shut him down.
Ty and
But
I talked offline about this one too. Like when Ty first told me, I said, Ty, I bet you this guy is going to try to run assisted living out of your house. Like
Yeah,
that
I
was
kind of
my,
had that feeling because things just didn't kind of like add up.
yeah, single guy is not typically getting a 4 bed, 2 bath house. You know, that's usually not what he's going to start applying for unless if he's got some ulterior motive. I, Again, we talked offline about it. It's definitely different. It's semi lucrative. I don't know if you were to rent to him, if like maybe you bumped the rent up a little bit more for some sort of liability, or we even talked about like trying to come up with a way to partner with him in some aspect. I think you made the right decision in ultimately telling him no. If he would have given you a significantly more amount of information, if you and like proved that he was like really good at operating this. And obviously, he made his money. He's running his business while living at one property, but now he's expanding to two. He's going to be living at one, or maybe not living at one. Like, who knows? Maybe he's not even living at your house and he's going to stay where he's
Right.
at and he's going to put somebody else here. So, I don't think he did a great job at selling himself in a way. Like, I think he should have given you, like, if that was his plan, I think he should have almost given you a business plan of like, this is what I've done and this is how I plan on moving forward.
Yeah,
If not, it's really
also right from the jump, like, hey, do you allow this? This is like what I've done in the past. Like it's worked out, blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, I probably would have said no anyway. But
for
to
sure.
your
But
point,
I
like,
think, yeah,
no, I mean, to your point, you mentioned like, what if there's a way to like partner with him, and that's a good idea. But I don't know this person, right? Like, if one of my friends came to me or like somebody that I know, like in the real estate realm, and they were like, dude, I do assisted living, and like I don't have the 20% down to buy a place. So what I do is I rent them and then, rent them out to tenants like a sublet. Then, and I knew this person and trusted them. Then like, yeah, I'd probably give it a shot. Like I don't really see reason not to. Again, I think the income's almost more guaranteed because you know that they're going to be renting it out for 3 to 4 times what they're paying in rent. So
one person can pay,
yeah,
significant, like can basically cover your mortgage in one aspect. So you know that
right.
they're going to be getting the money. Plus, like that house, I know you've labeled it as a 4 bedroom, but if somebody wanted to get crazy with assisted living there, they probably could make it a 5 or 6 bedroom, depending on what they wanted to do with some of the rooms downstairs.
Yeah. So that was kind of scenario one. Another thing I wanted to point out is I got an application. The person didn't qualify for anything, income, credit score. And then the thing I wanted to highlight is the background check from Zillow. So again, this person did a full application, like paid the $40. Zillow gave me a background check, and there was a few things on there, um, housing related, like I guess disputes over failure to pay rent, which right off the bat, that's a no. Like they didn't pay rent at their last two places, so like that's a risk for me that I don't want to take. But I kind of did my own little background check, which, all this stuff's public, like unless you get something expunged, I guess. But like you can go on your state's website and look things up and it's there. And there was a lot that Zillow background check did not tell me. I'm not going to go into what these things were, but they were more severe than failure to pay rent. And so I maybe just do a little bit more research versus just the background check. And I don't know if it's like a certain amount of years or like, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that is maybe do some more due diligence than just what Zillow reports. Or maybe it's like by county. Like I know some background checks, they only do a background check like in the county that you've lived in for the past like 5 years, where if it's a county over, they're not going to get those records. So
Yeah, I think it's important when you're picking your tenants to always do a little bit of extra digging, extra research when you can and see what else you can find out. Whether that's also, calling the previous landlords and getting recommendations. I think that's also huge and should tell you things too. So if, in this example, obviously looks like the last two landlords aren't going to be super pleased with this gentleman or person, but then you could also call back and get that experience or get that knowledge like directly from the landlords and like see what they thought. So I think any additional research that you can do is obviously going to pay dividends because you don't want to end up renting the house to somebody that's not going to pay rent, and you're going to have to go through the eviction process, which is not fun, ultimately going to cost you money. So you're spending what, like maybe an hour, 30 minutes of extra time doing a little bit of research. It's a very, positive task to do.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, you kind of want to do a lot of this stuff before you even go show it, because why waste your time, like if the person's not going to qualify anyway. Now, that being said, not everybody's going to pay the $40 to apply before they want to see it, and that's fine. But if you are typing in your credit score is 400, then like I don't need to go show it. And then the last scenario that I'm currently in is like a housing voucher. I mean, obviously, everybody knows it as Section 8, but I don't think that term's used very much anymore. So I had a lady apply that has qualified for a housing voucher, and I did show her the property. And this is something that, again, I've never rented to somebody with a housing voucher, but I'm definitely interested in it. Just because it's basically guaranteed rent from the county or the city or the state or whatever, and then they have to pay a portion themselves. And again, I'm gonna call today the actual like housing authority, but she told me that they cover 70% of her rent, and she lived at her last place for 7 years, and they covered, I think, 70% of the rent in that last place for 7 years. And it's pretty easy for her to transfer that to a new place. And so, I have it listed for 2,700. Basically, that means 70%, I think it's like 2,000, is guaranteed per month. And then she only has to meet the income qualifications for her portion. So let's just say in this case, it's like $700. My qualification's 3 times rent. A lot of people do 3 or 4 times rent. So like most people, that would be like 9,000 a month. I think legally she would only have to make like 2,100 a month. And obviously, housing vouchers, there's different scenarios, but it's typically towards like low income people with children. I think I don't know like how you qualify, but um, yeah, somebody that's making 200 grand is not going to get a housing voucher. Is
To
my
my
under.
knowledge, the one of the few things I know about it is like once you qualify, I believe you qualify for almost like a lifetime, unless if you mess it up. So I've one of the positives I've heard on top of like the guaranteed rent coming from the government or the local county is that that person is inclined to not mess up your property, keep it in good shape, pay their portion of the rent because they don't want to get kicked off of these vouchers because it's like very advantageous way to live, right? Like you're getting some of your living expenses subsidized by the government. And so if you're on those programs, a lot of people I think are enticed to not get evicted, not pay their they want to keep that house, they want to stay on that program. I think this situation is very I know it's tough. Like I think it's advantageous. I like parts of this story. It's not maybe like ideal, right? Like you'd love somebody that's making $10,000 a month. That's going to be there and like maybe like in perfect situation. But out of at least the three options, this is like the best option that we have to evaluate so far. But or you drop rent and you start getting more people. But I do see a lot of value in somebody that's been in a property for 7 years and then looking to be in a house for like another 7 potential years. If you're getting this rent and you're going to get it for 7 years, you're going to keep that house as a very solid rental. I think there's a ton of value in that. Uh, so it's tough. It's
Yeah.
one of the harder parts of being a landlord is picking the right tenants because you have to do yourself, a service and make sure that you're getting the right people in there that are going to take care of your home and pay rent all the time.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think that there's like a negative connotation around Section 8 housing. And my understanding was that it was like certain designated areas. So, like, you pictured like D class neighborhoods like in Baltimore, and it's like that's the Section 8 area. Like, don't go there. But knowing people that have rented to it, I've actually heard a lot of good things about it. So, and again, this is like a B plus neighborhood. So you're still going to attract like a higher class tenant or whatever you want to call it. Um, but I don't know. I mean, again, you kind of have two leases, one with the government and then one with the tenant, and the tenant still has to pay, and all the normal lease rules apply. So like if she doesn't pay her 30%, you can still evict her. The difference is the 70% that's guaranteed is still covering my entire mortgage plus some. So like you don't have to worry about like, oh, am I gonna have to pay my mortgage for 3 months because the tenant doesn't pay? So I don't know. I'm not like against it at all. I like the idea, but yeah, to your point, I also don't have too many other super qualified tenants. So, but we'll see if
And
she applies.
yeah, that was the point I was about to make. She hasn't necessarily applied yet, so it's not 100% official. I've met with a ton of people that told me they loved the house. It seemed like good fits, and you're like, "Hey, where did that application come? Oh, that application never came in. That kind of sucks. I really like that person." So sometimes they don't like the house. I don't think you're gonna have this problem because the house is beautiful. It's in a phenomenal area. I think that whoever sees it is gonna fall in love with it even more and want to rent it. I didn't necessarily have that with some of my houses. They weren't always in the best areas, or not like the best areas, but people if they want a yard or whatever. I think your house works really well, so I think you're going to be in good shape once somebody sees it. I think it's going to kind of sell itself. The question will just be how long do you hold out to see if she applies? And I think we talked. We're recording this on Monday, a little bit late with my trip to Greece, but I think we talked maybe like Wednesday or Thursday. If you don't get an application from her, dropping to 2,600 or 2,500 and seeing if that gets you any better applicants.
Yeah, and again, it's still year one, so like even if you get 2,500 today, and then you just factor in 3% rent increases in 5 years, you're up to 28 or 29, and it's just a long-term thing, right? Like it'll be 4 grand and 5 grand in 30 years, and that's kind of
Mhm.
where the real money's made, and then your mortgage is paid off. So, yeah, I'll be happy 2,500. Now, I will start to get nervous if it's down to like 22, 23, but just looking at other rentals in my neighborhood, like a three bedroom townhome is at like 24, 25 in some cases. So, I feel pretty good about it still. But
I
all right.
think I think it'll all work out. So over to me. Obviously, I was in Greece for 2 weeks, and I didn't have too much real estate related things going on. As I was getting ready to leave, though, we were finishing up getting our property Overbrook listed and put onto the market. We had all of our renovations completed. We got the house cleaned. We redid like all of the bathroom tile. There's this cool product out there. It's called Permaglaze. Shout out to Dale from Permaglaze. He's helped me out with a couple of tubs. It's pretty cool. They basically just go in, like if you have old looking tile, they just glaze all over top of it and it looks like bright white and looks really like attractive and nice and almost brand new. So
Is
we
it
we
over
paid
the
to get
tile or like the fiberglass bathtub fitter?
so I think it's over in this situation, I think we just had it tiled almost everywhere.
Okay.
I don't I don't recall what the bathtub looks like if they glaze over that. I almost want to say that they do glaze over that, but I could be wrong. Regardless, the part that is most eye popping is just that all the tile in there that was like this ugly gray, dull gray, is now all like this bright white. And so he made the bathroom look significantly better. I think bathrooms are huge sellers in homes. Our bathroom wasn't like completely outdated, but we repainted it, did this permaglaze. I think the bathroom looks a lot better now this way. So we got all the renovations done and now signed all the documents, and the property is now listed on Zillow, Realtor, and everywhere you look for homes. I don't know how much action we've gotten. I saw that we had one person come through and look at the property, and they kind of gave it like I think when you're selling a house and people go through it, you can get like a feedback report, and it kind of like tells us like what they thought of the property and whatnot. So we did that, and they told us that the house wasn't necessarily they didn't love like where it was located, and they also didn't love the layout of the house. So two not great things to hear when you have your property listed, but not every house is going to work for every person's situation or what they want. So that was
Yeah,
the
and those
only known.
unfortunately are two things that you can't really change. Like you can't change the location and the layout. You can, but it's a lot of money to move walls around and stuff. But
Exactly. I mean, I think it's a really good house. I still have confidence that we're going to be able to sell it for right around. I think we listed it for 259. The realtor thinks it's maybe worth 249, but that was before being fixed up, and like now that it's fixed up a little bit, still hoping for the 259. We had an appraisal last year for 275 if we were to list it and sell it. The market's starting to slow down. I think there's a lot of people that are listing properties right now, so there's a lot of competition in this kind of price range. So it'll be interesting to see what the next couple weeks look like. I'm not sure what TDJ's plans are going to be. Like if we got it listed for like a month, 2 months, and like we don't have any traction. I don't know. We'll see what happens at that time. I think right now we're holding out hope that it'll sell. We think it's in pretty good shape. It looks clean. So we're just gonna, hope for the best. But that's where we're at with Overbrook. It's now listed, and we're just waiting to hopefully get some offers and see where it goes.
Yeah, I wonder what people's like ideas are, being that there was a rate cut a few weeks ago, but more importantly, their outlook on the next year, because they said that they expected two more rate cuts this year and then one next year. So are people like, for a while when there was no rate cuts, people were like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to drop. So I'm just going to go buy a house because who knows when they'll drop. But since they came out and said, like, you can expect another three rate cuts in the next 12 months, are people like, oh, well, now I'm just going to wait for those rate cuts to happen, and then kind of lower the demand and houses are going to be sitting. I'm not sure. This will all come out eventually, all the data, but that's kind of how, well, no, I take that back. I feel like me and you are always just like, it's always a good time to buy, like because you can
That's exact.
refinance.
That's
But
exactly what I was gonna say. You always just buy the house, date the rate, and I know some people are like, oh, it's not like the best verb anymore. But I still think that that's like the best strategy, right? Just buy the house, date the rate. You can always change out, refinance. I mean, unless if rates go up, then you're kind of stuck for a little bit longer. But again, it's just you're dating that rate for a little bit longer than maybe you anticipated. You can still refinance once these rates drop. So if you fall in love with a house and the house is really good, just buy it, and then you'll be able to refi a little bit later. So that's, I think, again, the way you and I would look at it. We're not talking about you and I. We're talking about what's the average or what's the average home buyer looking
homeowner,
at,
yeah,
homeowner. They might be in a little bit different situation. Maybe they want to buy a little bit more house, and they think if rates drop, they can buy something a little bit more. Ultimately, I think it's really just somebody has to love a house, and if they love a house, then they're going to want to buy it. And they're going to figure out a way to make it work. If they don't love the house, they're not going to figure out a way, and they're going to come up with excuses and delay and hope the rates drop. And also, like, who knows? Maybe the average homeowner doesn't really know much about refinancing. A lot of average homeowners don't know much about a HELOC. I mean, the amount of people I've convinced or told or like for the first time explained what a HELOC is to them is significant. Like a lot of people don't know about home equity and like what you can do with it. So maybe a lot of people are sitting back like, hey, rates are going to drop. I need to wait till rates drop, and they're just not really paying attention to what's on the market right now because they're so excited for rates to drop. I've had a ton of people that are like, "Oh, I have a 3% rate, like this is awesome." Like, "Oh, I had a 4% rate, this is great." Like people, even when they were buying cars or like anything, like they're always proud of like whatever interest rate they can get. So maybe that is part of it.
yeah. Well, and to be fair, like you don't want to buy a house and have to refinance in a year because you're spending a decent amount of money on a refinance. Like it could be $10,000. So if you buy with the plan that like, oh, rates are going to drop three more times, I'm going to refinance in 12 months, you are kind of giving away some money. Maybe that's how people look at it, and that's fair. But yeah. Um, so what do you guys owe on that property? I think you said you wanted to, let's say you get 260, you guys owe how much?
I want to say we owe 165. So I'm still adjusting back to America light. I want to say it's around 165.
Okay. And do you have like repairs that you need to do still? I know you talked about like you were going to refinance some properties because you had some repairs to do. Do you have like a plan for the money?
I don't think we have a huge plan for the money, to be honest. Like we don't have a ton of repairs. Like I think one of the goals we want to do is just like paint some of our properties so they look a lot cleaner on the outside. We think that'll like really help just our home value and like make the properties look a little bit better. a lot of our repairs and things that needed to be done have been done. So we don't have like this huge laundry list anymore. We kind of are, going through it and paying things as they came up. But right now, like everything is pretty good with the properties, and we're hoping that it stays that way. I think our plan for this money is to just bolster our reserves, like make sure that like as expenses come up, we kind of like have some extra reserve money because the last couple of years, like we haven't had as much in reserves as we would have liked, and we've been adding money into our account, which isn't like the best way to run a business, right? You want the business to be self-sufficient, actually making money to pay you some money. So I think that's a lot of where we're trying to get at is like set up the company in a way that it's, I don't want to say like future proof, but like it's got enough money to sustain itself. If we have to do a roof, we have to do some expense that comes up. We have the money, we can eat it, and then we can keep saving up that money and then like start paying ourselves out of the company. So I think that's like the main plan is really just trimming some fat. It was a property we weren't making a ton of money on. And so if we could tap into this equity by selling it, and I don't think that we're going to make enough money from the sale to then purchase another property. So it's really just bolstering our reserves and making the company a little bit more stable. I think is our overarching plan at the moment.
Okay, and this is the property that you had tenants there. They moved to your property Woodlawn. Are they all good and settled in now?
Yep, yeah, this is that property. We were able to get it fixed up. We got the kids out. They're into Woodlawn. They're happy there. I just actually was up in the area right before we went to Greece and got to see them. There's a couple items that they want addressed, but like overall, they seem very happy in the house. They said they like it. They, are very happy with everything. So, and I haven't heard too much from them since. So it's definitely gone well. I think for everybody involved, they're happy. We're all happy. We got our property listed. I mean, now the last thing we need to do is have this property sell for roughly 259, 249, and then we'll be super happy and can like start moving on to whatever is going to be next.
Cool. And I'm assuming you got the electric back on.
Yeah, I did get the electric back on. That nightmare has been resolved. The kids are happy they have their electric. The other thing that happened while I was in Greece is I had kids reach out to me about a different property, Overbrook, that I own, 267, and they actually asked if they could rent it for next year, which was one of the properties I've been debating selling for a long time, just because it's a four bed, one bath. In my opinion, it's like one of like the smaller properties that I own. It's in decent shape, but I also just think like selling it, I could get a lot of the equity out of it. And I've been trying to buy five, six-bedroom houses where I can get, hey, if you get five kids times 500, that's 2,500 versus five times four is 2,000, right? It's simple math. The more bedrooms you have, the more money you can make. So I'm not making a ton of money on this property as it is. So it was one of those ones that I thought about when I bought Woodlawn, like, hey, I'm going to sell Overbrook then at the end of this year and kind of recoup the money I used to buy Woodlawn. And that's where I've been stuck with this, like, hey, should I just refinance these properties and keep it? Because for whatever reason, out of all my houses, this house seems to get the most generated interest. Like every year I get a text from kids like, hey, we want to rent this house. And it's like, I don't understand it because in my opinion, it's like one of the worst ones that, I don't say worst, but it's just like small. It's only got the one bathroom, but I don't know if it's the vibe. Like the kids just seem to
Maybe
really,
it's just location.
it's like maybe, but it's a little bit further away from campus compared to even some of my other properties. So I'm telling you, like there's not much in my mind that makes sense as to what. But every year, it's like, hey, Tom, want to rent this house out? Like I told the kids, like, hey, I'm on vacation. I'll text you this week, so I have to get back to them this week, let them know. And so that's I'm gonna try and come up with a plan because it's tough. It's like, all right, well, if I can get it rented, like it almost feels like I should just keep it then, like lean towards that refinance that we've been talking about and like I guess just keep this property for a little bit longer because it rents itself out every year and it's
But it's in the area where they changed the rules, right? The
yeah
rule.
it's in the township. I mean they changed the rules in the sense that you have to apply for an application. I don't know if it's actually a yearly application that you have to apply for though. Like I think because I've applied once I don't have to apply each year. I'm grandfathered in because I've already had the rental there so I can keep it, but like I don't know. It's something I gotta think about more and more over these coming weeks. And like I plan on meeting with I watched a podcast and there's like this loan officer that does like a deep dive into your portfolio and like can give you a lot of different options. And I'm gonna meet with him hopefully this week or early next week and see if he can help me come up with a solution, because like maybe refinancing both properties isn't the answer, but like maybe I refi one, I get a HELOC on the other, or trying to come up with some sort of creative solution to really look at this and see if I should just sell that property or not. Still early. I mean, we're October, so I could probably buy another month from those kids and let them know, like, hey, I might be selling that house. I have some other properties available. Why don't you check out these ones? And, kind of go from there. So still have to figure that out, but it's obviously positive whenever you have kids reaching out that want to rent your house for next year.
Cool. Well, good luck, and I hope you get some more offers on Overbrook, or some more action, and hopefully I get some more action on my rental as well. So we'll
Yeah,
see how it
hopefully
goes.
this real estate market can pick up for the both of us and we can get some positive updates for our next episode. But thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
See you later.